What is up, YouTube? My name's James and I'm bringing you guys a brand new video here today. And so today is a special one I wanted to make for quite some time now, and it's about a lens that has grown in my heart, my go-to for nearly just about everything. I use this lens for portraits, both studio and on location. I use this for my cityscapes, street photography. I use this for lifestyle photography, events, concerts, everything. This is my favorite lens to use. I seriously use this thing like 75% of the time. If I have my camera with me, this is probably the lens that I have attached. And that lens would be this guy. The beautiful, the one and only 70-200 2.8. Now you might be thinking, if you remember from the past, James, you shoot Sony. Why do you have a Canon 70-200? Well, that's because mine's in the shop right now and I needed like a prop. I needed an actual 70-200 for this video, so I was like, yeah, I'll take the Canon one. The reason why I really like this guy is because the 70-200 focal range, that range is literally perfect for everything. You know, 70-200, 70 is kind of, you know, it's starting to lean more on the wide side, while 200 is straight telephoto. With the 70-200, you can really take portraits from any distance. You can take it from up close or from really far away. And if you have APS-C mode, which I know the Sonys do, I know Canon and Nikon don't have that, as far as I know at least, you could turn that 200 millimeters into a 300 millimeter lens, while also sacrificing half your megapixels, which honestly isn't that big of a deal to me. Cropping in your sensor and getting a 1.5 magnification on your focal length, that's pretty awesome. 300 millimeters, that's really far. I'm gonna be going through a bunch of the photos that I've taken with this lens, and I'm gonna be describing to you guys why I specifically like it and why it made that photo so good. So let's hop in here. I have a bunch of photos selected and we're just gonna go through them here. These are some lifestyle portraits and also some fashion editorial stuff that I did on location. These are all outside and they're all portraits. So we have this one of this like fitness girl. She's from Italy. There was this couple that came to me and they wanted to do a photo shoot in the city, so I said okay. The reason why the 70-200 was so good is because it was able to, you know, really separate her from everything, but also compress it down so that the buildings behind her are so big. You know, when it comes to a wide angle, everything that's in the background is going to look a lot smaller, while when you have a telephoto lens, the subject is gonna, you know, be normal obviously, but then the background is gonna be absolutely like magnified, which I really like. Really cool. It's a really cool effect and it can make for some really interesting composition. And you'll be wondering, 2.8, you know, I like to mess with, you know, apertures that are much lower. I'm a 1.4 kind of guy for everything, and honestly that's okay. 200 millimeters at 2.8, if your subject's somewhat close enough, that can be extremely shallow. Do not underestimate, because it can be really shallow. But however, one of the most important things with this lens when taking portraits is that it doesn't distort your subjects. With lenses like your 24, your 35, your 50, it's gonna distort your subject a little bit. You can enable profile corrections that can help it, but it's not gonna be perfect, you know? It's still gonna be a little bit distorted. Next, we got this photo for Blush magazine that I did. I was photo director for the magazine. It's my school's like fashion and beauty magazine, and this is during the fashion editorial. We did like 80s athletic wear. It was awesome. This was taken at around 100 millimeter focal length, and you know, it was just really good. It made them look bigger and kept the background at a reasonable size, and just, I think it represented them well. I think it worked really well with this image. Next, here we got this one from another editorial that we did for the same magazine. I think it was awesome. This was at 200 millimeters away, I believe, or around there. And I think it's awesome because I was able to catch that person behind them kind of at the same like size as them, instead of being like shrunken down because he was like 5-6 feet behind them. This is also from that same editorial actually. This was in a subway. I was like, again, I was really far away taking this, and the reason why I chose this lens for this particular image is because the way that the columns stay the same size pretty much all the way towards the back of the image, and how like the leading lines work when you're so zoomed in, works really well with this shot. I think it works really well how they're clearly defined right there, and it kind of just swoops in behind them, and it's not like crazy out of focus. It's not really in focus, but it's like that perfect amount in my opinion. Next, we got this one. This is in the subway. I was actually on the other side of the car, like complete other side of the car, and people were staring at me. I was like lying on the subway floor, getting all gross and stuff like that, trying to get this perfect shot. And just the way that just like they fit in this little composition is like my favorite thing in the world. Like I'm in love with this photo. It's one of my absolute favorites. So now I'm gonna show you guys some more cityscape photography, some like street photography. Personally, for me, I love this 7200 when I'm ever doing it. Honestly, it's the lens I use the most when it comes to it. So this is in Toronto. This is of the Flatiron in Toronto. I was like probably an eighth of a mile away from this building. Using a tripod at night, I was able to get this really dope shot of this building, which is actually pretty far from the buildings in the background, but because it compresses the image, it looks so close. Everything looks so close together, but it also makes the building look so much bigger than it actually is, as opposed to a wide angle that would make it look kind of small. Otherwise, I had to be super close up to it. This photo is of the downtown Toronto skyline. Again, I was able to really, fit that skyline into one little box, all super close up, and that's something I really like about this lens, getting things from really far away. And now we got Times Square. This is from like 70 millimeters away, 70 millimeter focal length, and I was really able just to fit Times Square into this box instead of being so far away using a wide angle. And we got this photo of this guy riding his bike. This is at 200 millimeters handheld, and it's one of my favorite photos. It's just the light's outstanding. It's wild. And I was able to get this clear photo. This is so perfectly in focus. And again, I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have this lens. We got the Empire State Building peeking out of these trees right here, going down this road, kind of like leading lines going up from the trees all the way up to the Empire State Building, which I absolutely love. This is probably my favorite street photo I've ever taken. And this 7200 right here is so awesome because with it, I was able to make the Empire State Building look so big coming out of the trees. This is in Queens, by the way. This is in Queens, and I'm getting the Empire State Building in the photo looking that big. And again, it's because this 7200 really makes things seem far away, that are far away, seem a lot bigger than they actually are, which is my favorite part about this lens. Again, I'll keep reiterating that over and over again. Freedom Tower from Midtown Manhattan, super zoomed in. This is from a helicopter, really capturing the detail of the Flatiron, little 2-block radius. This is the blood moon, actually, the super blood wolf moon or whatever it was. I captured that with this lens, not this lens in particular, but the 7200. I actually put it on APS-C mode, so I was able to get at 300 millimeters, and then I cropped in even more from that. So it's like the most I can possibly crop in, and it still ended up being a really dope shot. So now we're gonna look through some concert shots. Concerts are the best place, in my opinion, for a 7200. There's no other lens that I'd rather have than a 7200 at a concert, whether you're in the pit or you're roaming, the people, all the plebs in the concert. I'm kidding, but yeah, I think having a 7200 at a concert is the best tool that you can have. This is from all the way the other side of the venue. I got a top level tier kind of thing. And it was awesome. It was a small venue, but still, I was able to get this, this perfect composition of him, in his moment doing his thing and capture the detail of his face as well. And then this shot is from a Kalani concert. I was all the way in the back of the crowd. Cool out to get the people kind of blurred in the foreground and, her right above them kind of singing and just like having that close up kind of thing instead of being wide and just getting the whole thing of the concert like everyone else does. Everyone shoots wide angle. Everyone shoots wide angle all the goddamn time. And it's the most annoying thing. It just gets so boring, I want to see stuff that's different. I want to see different compositions, something that's more unique, And wide angle just doesn't do it for me anymore. Everyone shoots wide angle, especially at concerts, especially for street. And I think that people need to, mix things up a little bit, get out of their comfort zone. That's why I'm making this video, to show people how awesome this lens is. So now this is from Portugal the Man, super cropped in, really capturing his emotions. Again, with this photo, same kind of deal as the Kalani one. And I got this one. This was my favorite photo I've ever taken at a concert, probably. Just that raw detail and that expression on his face, captured from so far away, but still so close up because of that lens. I think there's actually APS-C mode as well. I think it's just so cool how perfect this came out. And so for my studio photographers out there, or for anyone who is looking to shoot studio, these are some studio shots with the 70-200 as well. Personally love it for studio. Again, you need to have the space to work with this lens in the studio. You have a big studio because obviously it's a long lens. You gotta be far away, especially if you're trying to capture someone's full body in the studio. You need to be far away. So this is actually around, I think, 150 millimeters, I believe, and capturing his full body. And what I really like about this lens in the studio is that if you're dealing with a small backdrop, it will compress the backdrop to be bigger than it actually is because of that compression, and the person will be able to fit onto it easier. When you're using wide angle, the background's going to be like kind of look smaller, and the person's going to look a lot bigger than they actually are. That's the distortion I'm talking about, and it's going to cause the person to not fit on the backdrop all the way, just causing you more stress and more work to do in post. To get this lens, I think it's amazing. It's my favorite lens to use, especially all the categories that I mentioned, like in concerts, you know, being in the pit. You can even get someone's like close-up face in the pit, you know. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and it's up to you to be creative with it. However, with this lens, there are some negatives to it. There are some disappointing little things about this lens that you kind of got to deal with. First thing, it's expensive. This one here, the Canon one, I believe is like $1,600, $1,700 new. Nikon, I believe, is the same deal, around there, give or take a couple $100s. However, the Sony one, because of how new it is, it's looking at around like $2,200 new plus tax, like $2,500, which is crazy expensive. Also, this thing is super heavy. It's not fun carrying around, especially if you're shooting for a long time. Your arms will get tired really fast when using this lens. Also, it takes a lot of space. You gotta have the room for it in your backpack. The space it takes up is just kind of annoying. And also, focusing with this thing can be really difficult, especially at shallow depth of field, like a 2.8 f4, especially when the ISO is super high, it's dark, they're moving subjects. Things can get really hard with this lens, especially when you're shooting concerts in the pit. Focusing can be really difficult. If you're shooting a moving subject at night, super difficult. It's just, it is what it is. You gotta work with it, and you gotta kind of learn how to use it, and you'll get better as time goes on. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I urge everyone to get this bad boy at some point in their life, or at least try one out, rent one out. I think it's a lot of fun. If you guys end up using this lens, or you guys already have one, be sure to tag me in the photos you guys post to Instagram using this lens. I would love to see some of the pictures you guys are creating and seeing the work you guys are putting out. If you guys don't follow me already, my link is in the description below at JamesGMedit. Be sure to also check out my preset store. The link is also in the description. I make a lot of preset packs for all different kinds of photography, so if that interests you, go check it out. Please be sure to leave a like. It really helps me out. Comment, let me know what you guys want to see in the next video. Do you guys already own this lens? Are you gonna plan on getting one now that you've seen this video? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Also, be sure to subscribe for some more photography and editing content every single week. And lastly, guys, my name's James, and I will see you guys in the next video.